Durak is a Russian card game that is popular in post-Soviet states. The object of the game is to get rid of all one's cards. At the end of the game, the last player with cards in their hand is the Durak. Setup: the game is typically played with a deck of 36 cards and is played with 2 to 5 people. The deck is shuffled, and each player receives 6 cards. The bottom card on the remaining deck is made visible and placed at the bottom of the deck at a 90-degree angle. This determines the trump suit. However, the revealed card is actually a part of the deck, the last card to be drawn. The player with the lowest trump is the first attacker. A deck of 36 cards limits the number of players to 6, although some variants allow more than one deck to be used. A 6-player game with one deck is not optimal, however, because it gives a considerable advantage to the player who attacks first, and a considerable disadvantage to the player who defends first. If multiple games have been played, often the loser of the previous game shuffles and deals. Gameplay: the starting player is the first attacker. The player to the attacker's left is always the defender. After each turn, play proceeds clockwise. If the attack succeeds, the defender loses his or her turn and the attack passes to the player on the defender's left. If the attack fails, the defender becomes the next attacker. Attack equals: the attacker opens the turn by playing one card face up on the table as an attacking card. The player to the attacker's left is the defender. In the basic Podkidnoy variant, and in most other variants of Durak, the defender has to immediately attempt defense in response to the initial attack. In the Perevodnoy variant, the defender may choose to either attempt defense or to pass the attack on clockwise around the table. In this case, the defender may only pass on the attack if he has in his or her hand a card of the same rank as the attacking card or cards. To pass on the attack, he adds this card to the attacking cards. The defender now becomes the new attacker, and the player to his or her left becomes the new defender and must beat all cards. If the person on the player's left has fewer cards in his or her hand than will be on a table after passing, passing is not allowed. The new defender must then decide upon a response for this new attack. In games involving 4 or fewer players, it is perfectly possible for the attack to pass all the way around the table, so that the original attacker ends up defending against his or her own attack. Ace is the highest rank and 6 is the lowest. Trumps always beat non-trump cards regardless of rank. One variation of passing allows a defender who holds the trump of the same rank to simply show the card to pass the attack on and become the new attacker. The holder of the trump card of the same rank may play it at any time during the attack. If playing with fewer than 4 players, it is possible for the attack to be passed all the way around and come back to the holder of the trump card of the same rank as the initial attack. However, using the trump to pass the attack is only allowed once and may not be shown or played in order to pass the attack away from them a second time in a single turn. Defense equals: the defender attempts to beat the attacking cards by playing defending cards from their hand. One card is played in defense of each attacking card. Non-trump attacking cards may be beaten by either a higher card of the same suit or b, a trump. Trump attacking cards may only be beaten by higher trumps. The defending cards are placed on top of the attacking cards so that players can keep track of which card is defending against which. At any point during a defense, the attacker or any third party in line can pitch in extra attacking cards, provided that for each new attacking card, there is already a card of the same rank on a table, and the total number of attacking cards does not exceed the number of cards in the defender's hand. The defender must also defend against these new cards. If the defender is unwilling or unable to beat all attacking cards, he must pick up all the cards on the table including all the cards the attackers pitched and incorporate them into his or her hand. At this point, the defense is abandoned. The defender may choose to abandon the defense at any point during the turn. This immediately ends the turn. The failed defender loses her or his turn to attack. Hence the player to the defender's left attacks next. If, however, the defender has beaten all attacking cards, and no other players are willing or able to add more, the defender has triumphed. The turn ends, all cards on the table are discarded from play to a discard pile. and play passes to the left, the successful defender opens the next turn as the new attacker. The attackers must wait their turn to give more cards to beat. With each card beaten by the defender, the first attacker has the right to put another card to defend before others. If he or she passes, that allows the next one to the left of the defender to give another card if they have one or want to give it. When that card is beaten, the first attacker always has the right to add another card before other players. If he or she passes, it goes again to the left. This keeps the game fair and prevents everybody from putting cards on the table they want to get rid of at the same time. The last person to add cards is the person on the right of the attacker. Each card beaten in most games is considered to be a completion of that one circle, until the attacker gives others permission to add cards in the circle from the left of the defender, and so on. End of turn. At the end of each turn, whether or not the defense was successful, the following action is performed, starting from the main attacker, followed by anyone else who contributed cards, and culminating with the defender. Each player with fewer than 6 cards in their hand must draw cards from the deck until they have 6 cards in their hand. When the deck runs out of cards, play simply carries on without any more cards being drawn. At this point, when someone runs out of cards, they are done with the game, and everyone else continues. Each player draws as many cards as they need. The order in which this is done is strategically important, since the last card in the deck is by definition a trump. No players may examine the discard pile at any point. Winning and losing. There are different types of the game. In one type there are no winners, and only one loser. In another, the winner is the first person who leaves the game without cards in his hand. The last person with cards left in his or her hand is the loser. That person is the dealer for the next game, and the person to the full's right is the first attacker of the next game. Team play. With 4 or 6 players, it is possible to play in teams. The members of each team sit opposite one another, or alternating. The members of each team do not put down cards for their teammates to defend, but focus on piling up on the other team's instead. Full with epaulettes. If the very last card played by an attacker is a 6, and the defender loses, the defender is cheerfully pronounced Durak pogonym, and the 6 may be slapped onto the shoulder of the loser. This ending is even more insulting than simply declaring the loser Durak, because often the winner intentionally makes himself handicapped by keeping a low-value 6 card through the final part of the game, thus demonstrating her or his higher skill. If the attacker plays 2 6s, this means an even more cheerful occasion of epaulettes on both shoulders. In fact, there is a version of the game when the epaulettes ending are an actual score point. If someone has a 6 as an epaulette, the next time he is supposed to get a 7 as an epaulette for the opponents to score, and so on until an ace card is landed onto someone's shoulder. This version may be played 1 against 1, or 2 against 2 as teams. In this version of Durak, the team with the lowest trump starts the game, but in subsequent rounds the winning team from the previous hand begins to score, and subsequently move on to the next highest ranking card. The winning team or individual must not only end with a correct epaulette, but must include at least one non-trump card in the exit turn. Varieties of the game. Passing Durak. A player may pass a card to another player by putting another card of the same rank next to the one played. For instance, West can transfer 7 of clubs to North by putting near it another 7. Usually, passing is forbidden during the first round. It is possible to play passing and travel document modes simultaneously. Crazy Durak. Diamonds are always the trump suit and spades can be beaten only by spades. Basically, diamonds and spades are the 2 suits, without trumps. Game takes place without any trumps. Spades by spades. Spades are special suit, they can be beaten only by spades, and in addition, spades can't be trump suit. Albanian Durak. Players can also play with a card that is situated on the top of the deck. Changeable trump. Another card is situated under the visible trump. When one of the players takes visible trump, that invisible card is revealed and determines the trump suit for the rest of the game. It can be taken just like the trump card in standard Durak. Request. Before the start of a game, You can request to play the Prevodnoy Durak variant. Travel document, you can also request to play with Flash. The idea is similar to passing. However, instead of placing a card down beside your opponent's and sending it along the circle, you can simply flash your card with the same value instead of setting it down, if yours is a trump. You can only do this move once with the same card throughout the game. The second time the card must be placed into the play. Arrangement. There is also a pairs variation of the game, which can be played with 4 players. In this version, teammates sit across each other, and the game goes normally. The difference is that a player cannot add to an attack on his/her teammate. Railway Durak. At the beginning of the game the whole of deck is distributed between all players, except one card, it's a trump. Poker Durak. Players can change any 2 cards in their deck for any 2 cards in main deck before their turn. Each player can do this only 3 times in the game. Full Durak. The game can also be played with 52 or 54 cards, with the lowest cards being 2s. If playing with jokers, the red joker beats any red card, the black joker, any black card. See also, Games of Skill, Paskahasu, President, Shithead. References. External links, Multiplayer Durak game on Facebook, the collection of games in the Durak, Learn and Play Durak Podkatnoy online, Learn and Play Durak on Android, Durak with interactive tutorial on Android or iOS.